There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Pizeski. I am on the board of DC Refers. I'd like you to welcome you today to our DC Refers Reconnect program. Today's program is building your personal brand and maximizing your social media impact. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I know we had a little bit of a glitch with the links to join. And so if you had any challenges getting on today, we apologize for that, but glad you were able to make it. Our speaker today, before I introduce our speaker today, I want to just give you a quick overview of DC Refers. If you have the ability to view the screen, and can see what you see is an image of our website, dcrefers.org. And that is where, if you are not already signed up, you can sign up and access your opportunity to be a member of our DC Refers community. We have people who are both lawyers and mediators who volunteer to provide their services at a reduced fee for eligible prospective clients who come to our website. The mission and the goal for DC Refers is to create and to increase access to justice for people of modest means in the District of Columbia. As many of you may know, pro bono legal services are available for individuals who meet income guidelines and do not exceed income levels in excess of 200% of the poverty level. However, that leaves many people who still have financial needs and legal needs and are unable to afford legal counsel. And that's where we step in and fill the gap. Another piece about us, if you are not already a member of DC Refers and you would like to join us and be a part of our community, you can simply apply to join. And there are just some basic qualifications to join. You have to be a member in good standing of the DC Bar, have at least 2 years of experience in the practice area in which you'd like to offer your services. You must maintain malpractice insurance. And then we request professional and client references so that we have essentially sponsors that can attest to your skills as an attorney. And then you would then agree to charge income qualified clients between $75 and $150 per hour, or a flat fee equivalent. And then in order to do that, there is a modest application fee which goes to support our expenses to administer and make the attorney panels available to clients through the website. This month, we are featuring and looking for and recruiting lawyers who are in the traffic and criminal law fields. If you or anyone you know are practice in these areas, we are looking to recruit you. We get all kinds of requests in a broad range of practice areas, and these are two of the areas where we get a number of requests and are seeking lawyers who are interested in working with us to support people in need of legal services for these areas. So with that brief introduction about DC Refers, very quickly mention that we have mediation services for people of modest means as well. And that I'm a big fan of mediation, and I think anyone who has a modest dispute, it is often much better and much more cost effective to address those concerns or that conflict through mediation and find an amicable a way to resolve the dispute in lieu of the expense and costs and time of litigation. So we do have a panel of mediators as well. All right. So with that all said, I would like to introduce to you our speaker for today, and Samina Cluck, who is an innovation evangelist. and social media strategist. She is a recovering lawyer, dare I say. Um, she, like us, practiced law for many, many years, and has, because of her background in technology and the digital space, has now launched and has been in business for how long now, Samina? How long have you been doing this?
It's really just about a year and a half at this point.
Yeah, that's terrific. And it's something that we all need because I do in my circles anyway, I do see that many lawyers are very shy about promoting themselves on social media, and it's not a big mystery. It's a lot of fun. And today, Samina is going to share her expertise and her tips on social media, personal branding, and maybe a few legal technology tips as well mixed in. So what I will do is I will post the bio, Samina's bio, in the chat for you. So in case you're interested in reading up about all of the amazing things that she has done over the course of her career and what she's done for clients in her consulting work, you can see that. And with that, Samina, I will pass it over to you for today's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So hi, everybody. I'm Samina. I'm looking at names and some sound very familiar. I may have met you when I was in the justice technology world for a hot minute with one startup, or when I was at Thomson Reuters for too many years to count, 16 years. But that's really where I went after clerking and practicing. And I learned a lot then about how much sharing your personal brand authentically can really help drive your business and your business goals, but also can really help you with your personal goals for your career and just feeling authentic. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about why sharing your personal brand is important, and then I'll go over 5 tips to master your personal brand. Now, we do not have a ton of time left, so I'm hoping this isn't going to be like a session on speed. But please do connect with me on LinkedIn. I actually do individual and organizational coaching with folks on honing their personal brand and social media. And I'll announce at the end, I'm actually offering a discounted services to anybody in the DC Refers Network or anybody on this session today, because I really love how a lot of your organizations are really giving back and truly trying to make a difference, and to decrease, the access to justice gap. So with that, let's start. Why is sharing your personal brand important? And I'm just going to tell you all right now, yes, I'm a lawyer, but I am also a person. Gifts are my favorite way of expressing myself. So if you do connect with me on LinkedIn, you're going to see a lot more gifts, just to warn you right now. But I feel like they get the point across sometimes. I think why it's important is because people don't really know you. I mean, I worked for 2 companies during the pandemic where I did not meet my clients, let alone my colleagues, for over a year, and developed really close relationships because of how I was able to share, of course, on Zooms and emails, but through my social media as well. And, the reason why I think that's important is because there's so many benefits to it. So one of the things, because of the roles a lot of you have, you sharing on social media and sharing your personal brand isn't just going to benefit you. It will amplify, you would think I'd get that word right and not stumble over it since it's the title of my company, your company and its mission. So every year I actually do a presentation for the Equal Justice Work Fellows every year at their Fall Leadership Academy, and talk about that while people will follow companies on LinkedIn and Twitter, many studies show that there's more impact generally from an individual sharing something than a company. Even if a company has 200,000 followers, you and your network of however many connections you have, people are more likely to respond to it from you than from a company. People just trust people more than they trust organizational accounts. But beyond that, it's really going to help expand your network. So if with everybody moving between roles so quickly now in this great resignation or great reflection or great restructuring or whatever we're calling it this week, you never know when the person that you have this long-standing relationship with at a law firm, at a corporation, wherever it is, suddenly leaves, and you have to start those relationships all over again. it's really great to build multiple relationships with your existing clients and to just get to know people throughout the industry. It's going to help you collaborate with folks. It's also going to drive opportunities for you. I just did another presentation today on personal branding for LLM international lawyers, LLM students who were taking the US bar and trying to enter the legal market. And one of the speakers on there with me said that once she started sharing more personally on social media, she kept getting so many speaking opportunities and writing opportunities to appear on podcasts, to speak on webinars, to speak at conferences. So it can be a great way to really build and boost your visibility. And I will say that I found when I started sharing on social media, it was boosting my visibility within my own organization because they started seeing me in a different light. You know, I was technically an account manager, but people started seeing me as a thought leader and someone who had a lot of ideas about legal technology, artificial intelligence, diversity, equity, and inclusion, things that I would share about. But it can also help deepen your relationships. And that's something that I have really used social media for, is developing relationships with people and using social media to follow up on things we talked about in person, to send a post and saying, I know that this was something you were concerned about, and I wanted to send this your way because I think it really has some great ideas on tackling imposter syndrome or dealing, with, trauma-based lawyering or things like that. And the last thing, Laura alluded to this, but it can be really fun to share on social media, but it also can really be an authentic outlet. And I don't know if you all noticed this, but during the pandemic, people's sharings on LinkedIn specifically really got a little bit more personal and less about their practice area of the law. And I think that's a great thing, because I think when you can share authentically, it helps your colleagues, your connections, your clients, your prospects see you as a whole person, right? And see behind the lawyer suit, see behind the 9 to 5, see what everything is you bring to the table. You really want to use your online presence to show people who you are and what makes you awesome, why they want to work with you, why they want to think about working with your company, what the skills are you bring to the table, what your superpowers are. So what we're going to do is let's go and look directly on LinkedIn in a very brief sprint on 5 ways that you can share your personal brand there. So,
and Samina, before you do that, I just wanted to tell you we're having a little audio interference. So if you could just check and see if there's something that might be causing it at your end, and we'll let you pick it up from there. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure so you know. Thanks.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is this a little better?
Oh, it's perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had a fan on.
Well, that's what we were guessing.
Apologies.
Perfect. It's all good. I just wanted to make sure. We're good.
I missed it. I'm so sorry.
We're good. Run with our 5 tips. We're excited.
Great. So the first tip I have for you is personalizing your LinkedIn title and banner. So if I can flip for a second to LinkedIn, what I mean by this is when you're on LinkedIn, it will default to show your title. It defaults to take your title from your current position. So, if I used mine, it would say CEO of Amplify Your Voice. No one knows what that is. This person, Cheryl Wilson Griffin, is a chief operations officer at a legal tech company. But she's actually, instead of just having that listed, she's really giving you an idea of the things she does, who she is. And I just love this. I bring your vision to fruition. I was like, oh, I'm going to steal that. Because remember, your LinkedIn profile is not a static document. It's like the Constitution. It's a living and breathing document. You can come change at any point in time. And I'm not going to steal these exact words, but I was like, oh, I have all the things that I bring to the table and what I do here. Oops, it looks like it went a little far. But I would like to say, I help you amplify your voice in the world right here. So that's one tip, is changing your title to personalize it to you. And you don't have to be that specific. You can just say seasoned antitrust attorney if that's what you do, right? Or there's lots of things you can do that get across what it is, because remember, when you post on LinkedIn or you comment, all people are going to see is your image, your name, and whatever that title is. So I just coached an international arbitration associate yesterday on this. And I said, look, if you're commenting on things with international arbitration, if your title said international arbitration associate, they'd at least know this is in your wheelhouse and this is your area of expertise. The second thing, or the second part of this tip, is on your banner image. This background image, by default, it's kind of a light and dark gray image, but you can put any image there you want, right? So I have cherry blossoms and kind of the sun shining through them. It's kind of part of my brand. I know other people, like to have an image of where they're located to give you a little bit of an idea. You can really put anything there, and it's a chance to really get your brand out there right away. So let's go back to our next tip, which is, give me 1 second here, enhancing your about section. So this is probably the most important tip I'm going to give you today. So actually perk your ears back up and listen for a second. In terms of this, a lot of people don't even have an about section on their profile. I think because they first made sure they got their resume up there, which is great, and then was like, I don't know what to put in this section, so I'm just going to keep going. You want to add an about section. And if you don't have one, up here, you'll have an add profile section where you can add it. And you'll be able to see, it gives you a chance to really share your personal brand. The first line should be a little bit of an elevator pitch of who you are and what you bring to the table. And then in this summary, which should be first person because we want to connect with you, you want people to read this and say, hey, I want to take yet another Zoom. I want to add another Zoom into my calendar because I want to meet this person. They sound great. So kind of talking about what your superpowers are, what you bring to the table, what your past experiences that you bring to bear in your current role, what you're passionate about. So you can see one here. They don't all have to be this long. I actually worked with a really great young law student recently. And I said, he's like, I don't really know what my personal brand is. I'm like, okay, well, tell me a little bit about why you went to law school. And he said, honestly, I didn't know what to do after undergrad. I'm like, okay, we're not going to put that in your profile. But as I talked to him, he's like, I really like business and I like where business and legal issues intersect. And that's what I really am excited about. I'm like, that is your personal brand. That's what you put in your about section. So if I'm an employer or a recruiter, whoever, I understand what makes you tick and what you're focused on. So definitely think about revising your about section to really enhance the things that you are awesome at, what colleagues and clients say they like about working with you. When I work with coaching clients, we go through 10 exercises to really figure out what your personal brand is and kind of hone that. Okay, so the next tip, and I'm not going to go to slideshow, it's just going to take too long, is about soliciting and giving recommendations. So we don't have time for polls, but I'll just ask, do you all have recommendations on your profile? I guess it's a little bit of a hypothetical question since you're probably all muted. So don't worry about answering that. We'll just go look at mine. I see Laura has one because I saw a thumbs up. Oh, a thumbs up is a good way to indicate this. So let me show you recommendations. Look, recommendations are a great thing because it's like at the end of an interview process when somebody asks you for references, but these are out here for everyone to see. Ooh, Nicole has one too. Great. It's like customer testimonials about how awesome it is working with you. So that if I'm a potential client, an investor, a prospect, a recruiter, whatever it is, I can see what it would be like to work with you. And you can recruit them very specifically based on what you want to reflect. So I wanted to reflect, what it's like to work with me for social media and personal branding consulting, what my marketing background is, and how I could build communities. And I solicited ones. When I asked them, I specifically said, I'm asking you because when we worked together, you complimented my ability to build a community. Would you write me a recommendation for that? And I always offer to write them one in return. So that's pretty straightforward, but it's a great thing. If you don't have any, or if yours are pretty old, please go back to your colleagues, your clients, your former colleagues, your former clients, people you did volunteer work with, and ask them for one. You can't win if you don't play. The next tip that I think is a really great one is is engaging more than you post. So I talk to a lot of people who say, I know I need to post 5 days a week and I just get overwhelmed and I don't post at all. Okay, this is the dirty little secret of social media. Sure, it's great if you can post 5 days a week, but guess what? I'm a social media strategist and I don't post 5 days a week. If you can post 1 or 2 times a week, which hopefully your organization is putting content out that you could reshare, or, an article from a colleague or a client or whatever that is, an event you're having, that would be great as long as you're engaging. Because the whole point of social media is to be social. You want to comment on things instead of just posting, and you want to comment instead of liking. So I'm not going to go into the specifics of the LinkedIn algorithm, but basically it will show posts to more people if they think it's a popular post that is engaging people. So you want to be commenting whenever you can instead of liking. And one little great thing is that when you follow or connect with somebody, you'll be able to turn on a bell at the top of their profile so that you can see every time they post on LinkedIn. So let's just say I follow this person. The bell appears. Now I'll get a notification anytime that person posts on LinkedIn, not when they comment or like, but when they're actually posting. So here's one that somebody I've turned the bell on for. They shared a post. It gives me a great way to quickly add a comment. And your comments do not need to be super pithy, right? Or really wise. You just want to, the name of the game is getting a comment out there and getting you in those conversations. So if 180 people like a post, but only 12 people comment on it, if you're one of those 12, you're in the conversation. And like clockwork, you will see strangers looking up your profile who also commented on the same post. So it really quickly can expand your network. So focus on commenting and engaging more than actual posting or liking. Posting is good though. And then the last thing I want to tell you, I have so much more to tell you, but we're running out of time, is when you're connecting, you want to connect widely, but you want to personalize your invitations. So when you send a connection request to somebody, it's always going to give you the option to connect with a blank connection request. So for instance, let me pull up somebody here that I've not connected with. Give me a second. It'll say, it's going to send the request, do you want to add a note? You always want to add a note, because if I can just add a note here to this one, when you go to connect, it's going to send it blank, but you really want to say why you want to connect with that person, right? So you can always look and see if you have connections in common. And if you can name drop, that's always helpful. If it's somebody you know, a client or a colleague you just never connected with, you obviously don't have to do that. You can reference how you know each other. If you have nothing in common, you can look through their activity and comment and say, I really like your posts about access to justice really resonate with me. And that's something I'm passionate about too. Love to connect. And that way, you're always kind of building that relationship and putting something that you have in common right from the first minute you start that relationship. So there is a lot more of tips I could tell you, but I think for today, hopefully this gives you 3 ways to optimize your profile to share your personal brand, and 2 ways to really engage and share your personal brand when you're actually, on LinkedIn communicating with people. Because this is what the ideal thing is. You want people to do this. You want people to see your profile or your comments and say, ooh, tell me more. I know we don't have a ton of time for questions, but I see a couple in the chat. So I am going to address these real quick. Chidi had a question about, where does the client send the recommendations? When you actually click the plus button under the recommendations section, you'll put their name in, their title, and it will send it to them directly on LinkedIn, and it will come back to you from them on LinkedIn. So you don't have to even worry about emailing or anything like that. It gives you that option to send it to them. It says how you know each other. If it's because you work together, what position were you in, and you add a note. So that's a great way to do that. The second question here is about, should organizations follow that same process of engaging more and worrying less about sending out a certain number of posts per week? I would say yes. And I will tell you, there are social media strategists who don't say that, but I literally just got off the phone with a lawyer who puts out a post every day, but she never engages with people. She doesn't add comments, she doesn't tag people, and she's not getting much engagement. So I'm like, okay, you've got 5 posts a week. That's great. But how is that meeting your goals? How are you expanding your network? How are you deepening relationships with clients? How are you getting to those prospects? So I really recommend that, honestly, if an organization only does 2 or 3 posts a week, but they're actually engaging with their employees' content, their clients' content, their prospects' content, industry leaders' content, that would be useful. And I will say, I represent a lot of legal related tech companies, nonprofits, things like that. And that's my advice to them as well. Some of them only post 3 times a week, but we are engaging with content. Other questions?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, Samina, and I'm sorry that we don't have more time to ask you questions.
I know.
And so, Samina, I take it this is how we can reach you?
Yes. So you see my email address there, my Twitter username. This is a QR code to my LinkedIn profile. So if you want to scan that with your cell phone, you'll be able to connect with me, or you can just look me up as Samina Cluck on LinkedIn. I didn't actually put my company URL here, but it is on my email and on my LinkedIn profile. And what I wanted to say is I do both a 2 or 3-part coaching session. The 3-part one has personal branding as the first session, where we work through those exercises to hone your elevator pitch. And the next 2 sessions are on optimizing your profile in much more detail than we just went through, and setting up a consistent sharing schedule so that if you only have 30 minutes a week, what will make the most impact. I normally do that at one price, but for anybody who's in the DC Refers network or who's on this webinar, I'm happy to offer a 50% discount on that. And then I also do a 2-part session. If you feel like you know your brand and your elevator pitch and who you are, then we just focus on the LinkedIn, and I can do that one at 50% off as well. So I know that Nancy, or I know that this information will be in the email that comes out to you, but I'd love to work with you because every company that I work with is somebody near and dear to my heart. I work with the Women's Bar Association of DC. I work with the Appellate Project that's trying to diversify our appellate lawyers, clerks, and judges. I work with the Blue and Black Partnership that's working on reducing violent policing incidents for people of color. So I love everything you guys are doing. And if I can help you amplify all that awesomeness, I'd love to do that.
That's amazing, Samina. Thank you so much. It does make that, I know that makes me feel really great, and I hope everyone had a really great time today. There was so much to digest from everything that you said. I know I'll be looking into reaching out to you, and I encourage everyone here, if you're looking to amplify your social media presence, I hope you'll take Samina up on her offer. Let me just warmly thank you, Samina, for your time today and for all of this great information. I just want to quickly also mention that we will be at Law 360, which is the DC Bar's practice management program that provides resources and information for lawyers practicing in the District of Columbia. That's on September 8th. And if you go, please do stop by the DC Refers table and say hello. On that note, again, thank you, Samina. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I hope you'll come again and join us for our next program. And I'm seeing lots of applause. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, please do reach out to me, and we will send you this PowerPoint so you'll have those tips as well. And again, I mean, I will say I work with lawyers and law firms and legal tech companies in multiple capacities. Sometimes I'm working with a BD marketing team. Sometimes I'm working with a sales team on how to use social as part of their sales. Sometimes I'm just working with attorneys on, you're going to a conference. Here's the 5 things to do before, during, and after the conference. So, sometimes I'm working with people who are job searching and how to use social to really research people, engage with them, and follow up. So please do reach out if you'd like help with any of this.
Terrific. Thank you. And all right, everyone, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a glorious weekend.
Great.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.